What if I told you that Lewis Hamilton himself has just confessed that Ferrari is lost? That the car is almost undrivable, and that you see the difference with Verstappen as an impossible mountain to climb? What does this bomb mean for Ferrari and for its immediate future? It was one of those moments that changes the tone of a season. The kind of statement you don't expect from a 7-time world champion who recently arrived at Ferrari. What Lewis Hamilton said in Austin was neither a pointed criticism nor an expression of passing frustration. It was a manifesto, a dry cry from the depths of his disappointment. And the entire paddock felt it like a stab at the romantic narrative that had been built around his signing for the Scuderia. The sprint qualifying session at the Circuit of the Americas became the perfect setting for that outburst. Under a relentless sun, with the Texas asphalt reaching extreme temperatures, Hamilton was stripped technically and competitively by a reality that until then had only been intuited. His 8th place finish wasn't just a bad position. It was a technical humiliation. Almost 9/10 of a difference with Verstappen, yes, but what was truly hurtful was being surpassed by a Sauber-client team with the same Ferrari engine. Nico Hülkenberg qualified 4th, Hamilton 8th. The question was not what had gone wrong. The question was how Ferrari had allowed this to happen. And that's when Lewis broke the silence. His face tense, his voice controlled, but heavy with disappointment. He said, "It was definitely not the pace we were expecting. I really don't know what happened. The car is very, very difficult to drive. It just got out of our hands. I mean, 8/10, that's a mountain to climb." That phrase, "a mountain to climb," is not coincidental, is not empty rhetoric, is a technical and emotional judgment. In Hamilton's language, which is rarely unintentional, that expression is equivalent to admitting that what he saw, felt, and drove in Austin is light years from what is needed to compete at the highest level. The car is not only slow, it's unpredictable, and that, for a pilot with his level of sensitivity, is the worst thing that can be found. These types of comments do not happen randomly. They occur when a driver has lost confidence, not only in the car, but in the technical process that built it. What Hamilton revealed was not only his personal frustration, but the perception that the SF25 suffers from structural problems that cannot be solved with tuning adjustments. It is the type of statement that, in a team like Ferrari, echoes all the way to the management offices in Maranello. And the most worrying thing is the context in which he says it. Austin was to be a confirmation race. After a debut in Melbourne full of difficulties, the team had worked hard to offer a more solid version of the SF25. But nothing worked. Not the track simulations, not the setup changes, not even the progressive performance shown in SQ1. Everything fell apart when performance was supposed to explode. And in that collapse, Hamilton was the visible face of failure. It is inevitable to think that, with these words, Hamilton has begun a new and harsher phase of his Ferrari adventure. The phase where the media narrative of redemption begins to fade, and a harder, more realistic one is installed, that of the star pilot trapped in a project without a clear direction. Because if the car can't compete, and if the engineers don't have clear answers, then the problem isn't just one of tuning. It's concept, and that requires a deep reconstruction. Not from a weekend, of the entire car. Of the entire operating philosophy. This statement not only shook Maranello, he sent a signal to the rest of the grid. A warning that the red giant remains vulnerable. That not even a champion of Hamilton's stature can cover the cracks of a poorly made car. And that perhaps the long-awaited golden era between the British and Ferrari has not begun, but could already be in crisis. What happened in Austin with Ferrari was not a simple competitive setback. It was the painful confirmation of a truth that has been brewing in silence since the preseason. The SF25 is a flawed car at its core. It is not about a bad setup, unfavorable conditions, or a specific strategic error. It is a structural problem, of concept, of technical architecture. A problem that arises from paper, from CAD, from the initial simulations that define the identity of this car. But the problem does not end there. There is a second layer that is equally worrying. The SF25 has a minuscule operational window. It needs extremely specific temperature, tire pressure, and downforce conditions to perform at its best. If one of these factors falls outside the ideal range, the car collapses. And that's exactly what happened in sprint qualifying. In SQ1, with medium tires and the greenest track, Ferrari looked competitive. But as the grip increased and the compounds heated up, the car began to lose consistency. Cornering became erratic. Traction became inconsistent. The confidence of the pilots, non-existent. Hamilton was on the verge of being left out in SQ2, saving himself by 0.06 against a Mercedes that is still in the development phase. Leclerc, for his part, finished last in SQ3, and it wasn't due to piloting errors. Both ran clean laps. The car simply wasn't enough. That is the real tragedy, that Ferrari has built a car that does not respond even when the drivers execute perfectly. And this is where the core of failure is exposed. A Formula One car must be consistent, predictable, adaptable. The SF25 is nothing like that. It is a machine that requires almost impossible conditions to perform well. And when it doesn't have them, it becomes an untamed animal, incapable of providing useful feedback, incapable of conserving tires, incapable of competing. The question now is not whether the SF25 can win races. It's whether he can finish the season without becoming a basket case. Because to fix a car with conceptual problems, it is not enough to bring new front wings or change the diffuser. The base needs to be redesigned, change DNA, and that, in the middle of the season, is almost impossible. In that context, the bomb dropped by Hamilton in Austin takes on an even more powerful dimension. Because it's not just a pilot complaining. He is a world champion saying, without saying it directly, that the car is useless. That you can't compete like that. And that no matter how hard he tries, there are limits that not even his talent can overcome. What happened in Austin didn't just leave scars on the timesheets. The most serious thing cannot be seen from the outside. It's happening inside. In technical meetings. In the glances exchanged between pilot and engineers. In the awkward silences inside the Ferrari box. Because when Lewis Hamilton makes a statement like the one he made after sprint qualifying, he's not simply conveying frustration. He is placing an emotional and political bomb in the center of the team. Hamilton arrived at Ferrari with a powerful narrative behind him. Redemption, history, legacy. It was the return of the fallen hero to the cradle of passion. But what he has found is not the romanticism of Maranello. It is a broken structure. An ambitious project trapped in past mistakes. A car that does not respond. And a team that at times seems more concerned with saving the facade than solving real problems. The real dilemma begins now. Because the pilot is no longer a newcomer. The room for adaptation has evaporated. The tests have already passed. Excuses too. What lies ahead is a long, technically and emotionally draining season. And Ferrari must ask itself if it is prepared to sustain the weight of having Lewis Hamilton in its garage. Having Hamilton is not just about having a fast driver. It is having a champion with a very high standard of excellence. It is having someone who demands answers, results, responsibility. And when those three things don't appear, friction begins. Hamilton does not remain silent. Doesn't make up. He says what he sees, what you feel. And what he said in Austin has consequences. First, internally, Hamilton's words are not only heard in the press. They echo within the team. Engineers know it. The technical director knows it. Frédéric Vasseur knows it. The relationship between driver and team now depends on a fragile equation. Mutual trust versus immediate results. If one of those two elements fails, the relationship breaks down. And at this point, what is most in danger is trust. Second, at the media level, the pressure at Ferrari is unlike any other on the grid. Mediocrity is not tolerated here. Perfection is required here. And when a driver of Hamilton's stature suggests that the car is undrivable, that they are lost, the message that the fans receive is not technical. It's symbolic. It's devastating. Because Ferrari represents a promise. The promise of competing. To win. To return to the top. And what he now projects is confusion, frustration, and above all, helplessness. Third, at a sporting level. What options does Hamilton have if this trend continues? Wait for a miracle in the form of a savior aerodynamic package? Push for structural changes within the technical team? Rethink even your medium-term future if Ferrari cannot offer you a winning car before 2026? It's not just a drop in performance. These are unfulfilled expectations. Hamilton did not sign with Ferrari to fight to enter the top 10. He signed to fight for titles. And when reality strays so far from the plan, difficult decisions begin to appear on the horizon. We may not be at that point yet, but the direction in which this story is moving is clear and is full of tension. What do you think about all this? Do you think Lewis Hamilton was too direct with his words? Or did he simply say what everyone inside Ferrari dare not say in public? To what extent can a driver drag an entire team up when the car is not up to the task? Is there really a chance for redemption in this project, or are we already seeing signs of early failure? Because one thing is certain, Hamilton did not come to be eighth. It did not come to be surpassed by a Sauber, and much less to end a weekend giving technical explanations to a car that clearly has no answers. Are we facing a simple learning curve, as many within Ferrari still insist on believing? Or is this the beginning of a breakup that not many dare to say out loud, but is already felt in the air? Think about what this means for Formula One as a whole. What message does this situation send to young drivers? To rival teams? To the engineers who still believe in Ferrari's ability to reinvent itself? And to the millions of tifosi who hope to see a new era of glory with the winningest driver in history? Leave it in the comments. Share your analysis.